Very much, everybody. Good evening and welcome to this, the full council meeting on Wednesday, 10th of September at 5 o'clock. All the participants are in the chamber. We don't have anybody online. So on that respect of voting, then it will be by a show of hands unless 3 members request a roll call vote. So as usual, the meeting is being streamed live and stored for later viewing. I can suspend the webcast if I consider it will affect the proceedings. A recording of the meeting will be published on the Council's YouTube channel. I will be flexible within reason on the length of time people can speak due to circumstances. And I don't have to remind members, it's in the notes, you all know how to raise your hands and let me know if you want to speak. And if I miss you, please speak up. So moving to the agenda. I'm going to bring forward items 12 first of all. Have I got that one?
Apologies.
All right, okay, I'll just go to the agenda. We'll deal with that first then. So apologies for absence. Are there any?
No apologies, Provost.
Okay, thank you very much. Item 2, declarations of interest. The Councillor's Code of Conduct requires elected members to declare any connection they may have in any of the items on the agenda. Are there any such declarations? None. Okay, so now I'm going to alter the order of business and I would bring item 12 first of all to our attention. Moving to item 12, colleagues. So that's the Scheme of Administration, Planning Applications Committee and Local Review Body. Pages 41 to 44. So Louise Pringle, Director of Business Operations and Partnerships, and Jerry Mahan is here, are in attendance and can answer any questions on this. So for this, there is a vacancy on the Planning Applications Committee, given the sad passing of Councillor Betty Cunningham. So we have a vacancy on the Planning Applications Committee. Are there any nominations? Buchanan.
Thanks, Provost. I'd like to nominate Councillor Convery.
So this is the vacancy in the Planning Applications Committee. Are there any other nominations for that vacancy? There don't appear to be any. So thank you very much for that nomination. It's agreed that Councillor Convery will now be on the Planning Applications Committee and the Local Review Body. So thank you very much. Do you accept the nomination, Councillor Convery? Great, we're pleased about that. That's us back to our compliment there. Thank you very much for that. Now, moving on to the issues of a chair of the Planning Applications Committee and a vice chair. So, are there any nominations for chair and vice chair? Councillor O'Donnell.
Just chair.
Just chair first of all. Thank you.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Jim McLean if he's so minded to accept as chair.
Is there a seconder for Councillor McLean? Councillor Wallace. Thank you. Are there any other nominations for chair? There are none. So, Councillor McLean, would you accept?
Yes.
You accept, so you're duly elected chair of the Planning Applications and Local Review Body committees. Thank you very much. Now we come to the position of vice chair. Councillor O'Donnell.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Annette Ireland.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Devlin and Councillor Ireland, would you accept that nomination? Thank you very much. Are there any other nominations? Councillor Wallace. Is there a seconder for Councillor Morrison as vice chair? Councillor Redland is seconding that. And Councillor Morrison, would you accept that nomination?
I would accept, Provost.
You would. Okay, so we now have 2 nominations for vice chair.
Thank you,
And it's
Provost.
to you then, Jerry.
Thank you, Provost. The vote will be by show of hands. Can I ask councillors to indicate their preference for either Councillor Ireland or Councillor Morrison by raising their hand when I read the name? So votes for Councillor Ireland. Councillor Morrison. The vote was 13 votes for Councillor Ireland, 5 for Councillor Morrison. Councillor Ireland is appointed as Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, and congratulations, Councillor Ireland, on your appointment as Vice Chair. Thank you very much now. On to item 13. Okay, so the item in 13, okay, I'll just read it here. It's here. This was the report to address the requirements of an amended motion referring to planning permission for a battery energy storage system. So there is a report given to you, and also Michaela Sullivan is here to answer any questions on that. So I will open it up to any questions. Oh, sorry, yes, she's going to do a wee introduction. Thank you very much, Michaela.
No, Katrina.
Oh, it's Katrina. You're confusing me. Okay, Katrina, thank you very much.
Thank you, Provost. The report presented in the papers this evening covers all the asks of the motion. The report provides information on the various legal routes that a revocation could follow and the potential outcomes, scenarios or risks involved. Members are asked to fully consider the information contained in the report. By way of background, the report explains that planning permission is intended to be a permanent decision. Permission runs with the land, and permission was given in accordance with due process. In consideration of the 4 bullet points that was contained within the motion, I would highlight the following points. Under 1, the legal and procedural steps required to issue a revocation. The report explains in some detail potential scenarios which are dependent on whether the applicant opposes or not the revocation order. If a decision is made to revoke, the Scottish ministers will then review the decision. They have the powers to direct that the case be heard. This will happen if the applicant opposes, and may also happen even if the applicant does not oppose the revocation. The Council would have to participate in the Scottish Ministers' review of the case in whatever form the Scottish Ministers would direct. This would come with costs to the Council for planning, legal and other necessary advisers to act in the proceedings. If the Minister supports the Council's order to revoke, the planning applicant can still challenge that decision in the Court of Session. If the Council was successful in revoking the planning permission, it would then be liable for compensation to the applicant. This would involve an assessment of all financial impacts that can be attributed to the decision to revoke, and that includes all actual and future land value and revenue streams should the development have gone ahead and traded for 40 years. These calculations would be professionally and independently advised, and a negotiation would follow to agree a cost that would be paid by the Council to the applicant, landowner and any other interested parties. The second point in the motion referred to the assessments of the applicant's compliance with all the imposed planning conditions. These have all been detailed in Appendix 4 of the report. There are 24 conditions placed in the application as part of the April 25 decision to approve. The applicant has a period of up to 3 years to discharge these conditions or appeal, so they would run up until March 28. Point 3 on the motion asks for clarification on potential compensation liabilities, and particularly where the applicant does not hold the freehold title to the land in question. On the matter of land ownership, planning permission is tied to the land. Whilst it is not uncommon for an applicant to have an agreement with the landowner, there is a commercial matter that is not considered as part of the planning application or approval process. The applicant's relationship with the landowner is commercially confidential. In terms of potential compensation liabilities and costs incumbent on the Council, should a revocation order be issued, research suggests that compensation based on market value for the land or net present value of a lease could vary between 1.5 million and 40 million, plus loss of profit, 4 million, plus I'll repeat that, or net present value of a lease could vary between 1.5 million and 4 million, plus loss of profit for operating of the facility for 40 years. You would expect that all costs, the Council's and the applicants associated with the revocation, also to be met by the Council. whilst a full assessment by a chartered surveyor should be required to give a total assessment of the costs, the information contained in the report does provide an indication of the significant sums involved. The fourth point was consideration of the expediency of such a course of action. A revocation is a very rare recourse within the planning system. It should be emphasised that the decisions taken on both applications related to this site were taken by the Applications Planning Committee at public meetings. Proceeding with a revocation will place significant costs upon the Council, both in terms of fees for appropriate resource and for any resultant compensation. It is important to highlight to members that should the application be revoked and compensation paid, the applicant is free to submit another planning application for the same purpose on the same site again. That application will be informed by the development plan and other considerations and is likely to conform with planning policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katrina. Michaela is available to answer questions. Are there any questions? So there might be a number of questions. So if you would indicate, I will take a note of your name and I'll come to you in sequence. Councillor Bamford has her hand up already. Councillor McLean. And then I'll take any more after that. Thank you very much. Councillor Bamford.
Thank you, Chair. Katrina, you mentioned that revocation is rare. Are we aware of any precedents of revocation orders in other councils?
Thank you, Councillor Bamforth. In my more than 30 years now of planning practice, I have never seen or experienced a revocation order being used in Scotland to remove a major planning permission of this variety. I've seen and heard of one or two examples of very small applications being revoked, for example, revoking one house extension so that somebody can replace it with another, but I'm not aware of anything of this type coming forward anywhere in Scotland.
Councillor Bamforth, happy with that? Okay. Councillor McLean, anybody else would like to indicate, I will take a note.
Thank you, Provost. I would like to submit an amendment to the report, please. Mr Toodhope has a copy of them, if he cares to pass them out. Thank you.
Councillor McLean, I'm a wee bit surprised about how early you've come in with an amendment when there's not been a motion to amend yet, and it's not really given colleagues a chance really to ask their questions on this either, unless you want to put this forward as a motion. I mean, as the paper stands, it's arguments, information about the impact of revoke, and it would be up to the council then to decide to revoke or not to revoke. So we're not at the stage of amendment yet. So I'm wondering whether you want to put it forward amendment, or could you hold it until we've had a good discussion about it?
I'm willing to hold it, but Ms Macaulay mentioned motion 1, 2, 3 as she was going through that.
Well, if you would hold it, we bear in mind that, but it's to give everybody a chance to kind of thrash this out. Okay, so is there anything you want to say or ask about this? Besides, you know, because I was bringing you in as I thought to ask a question. No, hold off on that. All right, well, thanks very much for your cooperation. Councillor Ireland next.
Thank you very much. I actually just wanted to ask what enforcement action is already in place with the application that this the revocation is sought on. I think there's about 21 planning conditions already in place. So these are covering, I've got a wee list: decommissioning, financial guarantees, biodiversity, landscaping, noise, drainage, road safety and contamination. Can you confirm whether these conditions already provide safeguards that are in place at the moment?
Thank you, Councillor Ireland. Yes, the planning permission contains a series of conditions that were deemed necessary either by the council's officers or, for example, statutory consultees such as Scottish Gas Networks. So the council officers will have consulted the various statutory consultees, and members may recall who were on the Planning Applications Committee that one condition was added during the discussion because of a point that was raised. So the conditions, once they're discharged, cover quite a lot of the aspects of the planning permission to ensure that it's implemented properly.
Anything else, Councillor Ireland?
No, that's me, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Are there any other questions on the paper itself? No questions? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Councillor McLean. So, where it stands just now, the report speaks of to revoke or not to revoke. And so you're suggesting an amendment, and there hasn't been a motion yet, and yes, unless you want to make that a motion?
No, I'm suggesting that we make an amendment to the recommendation point B, make a decision as to whether to pursue a revocation order under section 65 of the Town and Country Planning application.
Councillor McLean.
Sorry, before you say, Jerry. This is unusual, colleagues and people in the gallery, so I'm just going to ask your legal officer just to clarify the options now for going forward. Thanks.
Yeah, Councillor McLean. The paper itself obviously puts forward a recommendation that councillors make a decision to revoke or not to revoke effectively. As it stands at the moment, that particular recommendation hasn't been moved by anyone on the floor. It may well be subsequent to this. So effectively your motion departs from the recommendation. It's essentially an amendment to the recommendation. It effectively becomes the first proposal made in respect of the paper. So it effectively becomes the motion. It requires to be seconded. And obviously then other individuals within the room may have their own amendments to that motion. So, as I say, you've given us a written document outlining what your position is, but that requires to be seconded formally within the meeting.
Okay, so can I have a seconder to Councillor McLean's now motion? A seconder? Thank you very much, Councillor Edlin. So, again, to give us a chance to have a wee look at this, such an important issue, I'm now going to have a recess just for about 5 minutes. So, recess, everybody, if you could stop the...
Can I just clarify?
Thank you very much. So, in order for us to give this due and full consideration, could I ask Councillor McLean, the second last paragraph of your amendment, second line, we formally request that the report be referred to an independent third party for review. Could you specify what report that is you have in mind for review?
The report we have in front of us.
I'm just going to ask Jerry to explain because it just wasn't clear what report that was for independent review. Thanks, Jerry.
Yeah, the paper before Council tonight was actually the product of a motion made by members which set out the specific requirements of the report. In that sense, the partiality or impartiality of the officers was accepted at that time by members who made the request of them. That now seems to be getting challenged in terms of this proposal. So there is a contradiction between the motion tonight to seek what you consider to be an independent and impartial assessment as compared to your earlier request, which was directed to officers to actually provide you with this information. I don't know if...
Okay. So thank you very much for that. That's clear just what report it was. So that enables us to go back and have a look at that as well. And as Jerry said, the parameters have been set out in the original motion, but we will come back. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you very much. We're going to have another recess, and it could be 5, could be 10 minutes, but we really want to do our best with this. Thank you very much. Recess now. Much, and thanks for your patience, everybody. It's been quite tricky in looking at this to be as fair and as thorough as possible. So we have had a full discussion, and I've questioned Jerry as a legal officer, and are now going to ask Jerry to give me and all of you the benefit of his knowledge and experience. Thank you.
Thanks, Provost. I think the motion that's been made raises a number of issues. The first, in terms of our Standing Order 29, is the fact that it will bring with it a financial consequence to the Council, which on the face of it doesn't appear to have been assessed or identified within the terms of the amendment. In terms of Standing Order 29, any motion or amendment which would involve the Council incurring revenue expenditure must contain information regarding the full amount of such expenditure and state whether the expenditure is one-off or recurring. As it stands at the moment, the motion that's proposed does not do that. I think the second issue for myself as legal officer was the point that I discussed prior to the adjournment, which was that the report is effectively a reflection of the request made by members to officers directly to provide information. On the face of it, that appears to have happened. Officers have prepared a report addressing the various issues that were requested of them, and it therefore seems to be perverse to then take that report and effectively demand a rehash or a revisitation to the facts set out in it. So on that basis, Provost, my view would be that it wouldn't be a competent motion at this stage in the process.
Okay, thank you very much, Jerry. So I will take that advice. I will take that advice, and as chair, I am ruling that motion not competent, and that finalises this. So that's it, finished. I will now move to.
You have to take a point of order.
Yes, I will in a minute, but I am now moving back to the report. And if it's on the report, then I will take your point.
It is on the report, Provost. It's with reference Standing Order 29 and having to cost any financial consequence. Now, the paper that's been put before council tonight has drastic financial consequence, so presumably anyone who is moving to that effect would also have to set out the financial consequences. In other words, it sounds to me that these people have came along tonight, but this was never going to happen. That's what it seems like to me.
So, as a provost, I've given my decision, and that's the decision. So I'm moving on now. So to the report. Given the circumstances just now, are there any other questions on the report? Given that the recommendations are notes the report prepared by officers in accordance with the motion. So the report, as has been said by Jerry, legal officer, was in accordance with the parameters set out in the original motion, and that has been done. So the next stage is B, makes a decision whether to pursue a revocation order. If you look at page 53, and it's 48B, I am now opening up. Does anybody have any questions on the report itself? Question on the report, Councillor MacDonald?
Yes, thank you, Provost. I just had wanted clarification. There was something mentioned within the report that within the second application there were representations made within the application that suggested that the applicant had reached out to owners of the other properties and they weren't deemed to be suitable. And we are now after the fact where information has been presented that that potentially and possibly might not have happened, and there are some conflicts there. And while I can appreciate that when information comes before a planning committee, they rule on the information that's before them, my question therefore is, if information comes up after the fact of a decision being made at planning that is contrary to the initial information that was presented at planning, is there any, are you duty bound to investigate that in terms of the validity of the application? Thank you.
That question is answered. I think somebody might be recording in a public gallery. Is that the case? Because it's not allowed, so would you mind stopping if that is the case? Is there somebody recording, did you think? Okay. It's a phone, okay, that's fine. No, I've been so advised, but if that's not the case, that's fine. Sorry? Okay, how can we check that? So could I ask whoever is recording that you're not allowed to record it? The meeting is recorded and available to view later on the Council's YouTube channel. So if you would mind, stop recording, please. I'm now going to stop the council recording. I'm just going to have an adjournment till we sort this out. Thank you very much. Thanks. Thank you very much. Councillor MacDonald was asking a question, but I would ask everybody, if you're asking a question, if you could please refer to the report so we can all follow what your point is. And Michaela, was that enough information for you to answer Councillor MacDonald's point?
I feel that I am able to answer Councillor MacDonald's point. So thank you for the question, Councillor MacDonald. I think the most important thing here is that assessment of alternative sites is not a legislative requirement of this planning application. So at the first planning committee, when the decision was originally made on the application, at least one member asked for more information about alternative sites having been considered. So the applicant had included the information that they included to assist members, but not as a requirement. And the applicant, I contacted the applicant because of the allegation that was made that no contact had been made with various people. And whilst the information that the applicant has is commercially confidential, so they didn't want to share it with us for it to be released under an FOI or whatever, what the applicant did do was make it visible to me. They showed me the mail merge file that they used with the names and addresses of people and the dates that they had sent out letters to people. And they also had telephone numbers for some people where they'd managed to get them, and they sought to follow up the sending out of the letters with a telephone call. So the letters were sent in February 2022, August 2022, and in March 2023 in 3 tranches. But the letters would have come from a company called Green Power Consultants. And I think that some people have said they didn't receive a letter from AAH, who are the planning consultants who worked on this project. However, the letters weren't sent out by AAH, the planning consultants. They were sent out by Green Power Consultants. So letters, as I've seen in a mail merge, were sent, whether or not people received them or put them in the recycling bucket or whatever it is. The letters were sent. But having said that, there is no obligation in order to make this decision for that information to be before the Planning Applications Committee. So it was there to help out, but it's not a legislative requirement.
Thank you very much, Michaela. So I'm now going to take a note of anybody else who wishes to speak. I see you, Councillor Morrison. I'm just going to look round the chamber in case anybody else wants to speak. And Councillor MacDonald, could you put off your microphone, please? Good, thank you very much. And remember, everybody speak up. Somebody in the gallery, if you find that you can't hear, could you put your hand up? Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Morrison.
Thank you, Provost. Addressing the statement just presented by Mrs Sullivan, I agree it's not a legislative requirement. However, it was presented to us as a Planning and Applications Committee because it is relevant to our local development plan. Now, I appreciate some members here tonight don't sit in planning, this is quite technical, but looking at our LDP policy D3, it states that you have to demonstrate a site-specific requirement. Now, I specifically asked questions about this at the committee, and we were given an undertaking that all 28 locations had been ruled out. Information's come to light to all of us today that that is not correct. I have serious concerns about this, and if this goes through tonight, I need to consider what further stages could be taken, including reference of the council to the SPSO, because it can't be right that potentially out-of-date information or otherwise forms the basis of a decision which is highly contentious. It's correct it's not a legislative requirement, but it's a planning requirement, and that's the key point of all of this. Thank you.
Councillor Morrison, you know I don't like abbreviations, so if you could clarify what you mean by SPSO, please.
It's the Scottish Public Services Ombudsman. Thank you. I would appreciate a response to my question, though. Thank you.
Okay, Michaela, do you have anything to respond to that? I know we're not redoing the original planning applications committee, but if you could.
I think it's important to note that the officers of the council recommended approval for this application on the basis of the information that was before us at the time. And as we've said, there is no requirement for this assessment to be undertaken. There are a number of appeal decisions into battery energy storage systems where one reporter says he is not required to undertake an assessment of alternative sites. And there's another appeal decision where the reporter notes that there is no assessment of alternative sites, but the crucial matter in terms of determination is availability of connection to the grid. So I think that we're in a position whereby whether or not one or two people say that they didn't receive a letter when the applicant said that they sent out the letter is not the matter that is important to the determination of this planning application. There was no need for the assessment to be done. What the applicant needed to demonstrate was that they had the potential to connect to the grid, and that the site that was before us for decision was available. And both of those facts, I think, are undisputed.
Thank you very much. Councillor Redland, did you indicate you wanted to speak? No? No, I'm just checking. You made a movement.
Yes, I did at that time.
Okay, Councillor Redland, then Councillor Wallace.
Just, in actual fact, Councillor Morrison has raised the issue somewhat that I was going to raise, but I just like to...
Sorry, Councillor Redland, could you bring your microphone nearer?
Sorry.
Right up this side, round the other side of your laptop.
Sorry, is that better?
Right round, I would say, lift it closer to you. That's great, thank
just
you.
In relation to what Mrs Sullivan just said, is it is the fact that it's Greenbelt is overruled in favour of connection to the grid. Is that what you're saying? Because that's what I understood you were saying. And also, paragraph 20 of the report, and what is actually said in there, I would think, makes that report unacceptable in terms of the way it's worded. Because it means that the report is not independent, as we had asked, and what should be occurring.
Michaela?
Councillor Redland, could you clarify what you're referring to, please? Because I'm not able to address the point if I don't understand the point that you're making. Which report?
Could you bring the microphone right up to you, and could you repeat that question, please?
Councillor Redland, sorry, could you clarify your question, please? I'm not sure which report you're referring to.
The report I'm referring to is paragraph 20, page 48. What I was referring to was from your response to Councillor Morrison's question, you seem, from what I understood you said, is that connection to the grid is more important than the use of Greenbelt encroachment for the building of this plant. That's what I inferred from what you just said. Can you clarify that? Because it seems surprising to me that it is more important to get this thing built for its energy benefits rather than the Greenbelt's benefits as they stand and breaking the rules over Greenbelt. Also, my other question, I don't know if you understood that.
Can we do one at a time, please, Councillor Redland? Just one at a time. One question at a time, that is. Okay.
Councillor Redland, I'm not sure that you could infer from what I said that I've made any statement about the balance of Greenbelt or otherwise. What I said was that there was no need for this site-specific assessment to be considered in order to make a decision on this application. I made no comment about Greenbelt.
Well, I'm sorry, I understood it differently, but perhaps colleagues can help me with that and see what they think. Oh, the second point, do you want me to repeat the second point, Provost? Paragraph 20, and the inference of what you say there means that the report, I believe, is not fit for purpose because of the inference that that if in future the wording of the report cannot be used in implementing or not implementing Section 65.
So Edlin, could you specify what words you are referring to in that paragraph that have that inference that you referred to?
Final sentence, because extrapolating backwards from that means that the report is not independent.
So is that the sentence, that the very last sentence that says the council would have to appoint and pay the costs? Is this paragraph 20? Could you read out the beginning of the sentence, please, so we're all clear?
I think the relevant part is council officers recommended approval and cannot appear to defend the opposite case. That, I think, is most important and significant. And it makes the whole report invalid, as far as I'm concerned.
Mrs Macaulay or Mrs Sullivan, either?
Thank you. And just for clarity, paragraph 20 of the report is providing advice to you in the event that there was a revocation, there was a hearing, and we would need to appoint independent representation, given that local officers have already stated advice on this planning decision. That does not deter from us providing advice to you tonight on the procedures around revocation, which the report is presented as a factual piece of information on which you can then decide. We haven't advised you either way. That is the decision for you to make. It is a presentation of information and facts on the processes and the considerations should you be minded to consider revocation.
Thank you very much. Councillor Wallace?
Just briefly to kind of underline the point, which I think is...
Again, sorry, could you put your microphone right up close to you, because the people in the gallery have indicated they can't hear you properly. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's really to reiterate the point here, which I think really goes to the crux of everything that's been happening around this, the planning permission and approval and it going back and forth, is that, yes, you're absolutely right. It was asked, the request was made for a report to be put forward in front of councillors, which is exactly what you've done, and we're very grateful for it. And I think we do appreciate the knowledge and experience of those who have put this together. But I believe what Councillor Edlin is getting at here in paragraph 20, that it makes it very clear that if this was put in front of Scottish ministers, etc., then it would seem to be a conflict of interest. So it's really that point that's been drawn out, which I think when it was originally requested that a report came forward, did not appreciate that those who actually recommended approval are the ones that have put a report in front of the council, which we believe is a conflict of interest. And I'm very surprised that perhaps this could not have been brought up at an earlier stage, because I think we all know how sensitive this is to the wider area, and it actually impacts on all of East Renfrewshire and all the communities, because if this is passed in its current state, then there's nothing to stop that happening elsewhere. So this is what the crux of it. It has been brought out in paragraph 20 that there is a potential conflict of interest, and the inference being that there could well be a conflict of interest in the manner in which this has been put together by those who approved it. I wonder if I may have a response to that. It might be a legal matter, or maybe administrative, but I would appreciate some feedback.
Thank Thank you, Councillor Wallace. Just to pick up on that point, I think there are two different things that we need to consider. One was that you asked for legal and procedure advice about what would happen if you chose, as a council, to revoke the planning permission. The other would be if we appeared, for example, at a hearing or indeed a public inquiry, being asked to argue the opposite case from the one that we had put forward when we said that the application was in accordance with the development plan and recommended approval. The two things are not conflated. They are not one and the same thing. And the report you have before you does not make a recommendation to you to choose whether or not to revoke. It sets out the legal and procedural matters that you need to take into account in order to make that decision for yourselves. So I don't see that there's a conflict of interest.
I'm just going to ask Jerry to reiterate a point about this paragraph 20. Jerry, could you please?
Yeah, I would kind of echo what's already been said by Mrs Sullivan. I think paragraph 20... Oh, apologies. I would echo the point that's already been made by Mrs Sullivan. Paragraph 20 relates to a very specific set of circumstances. It occurs only in the event that a revocation takes place, and the council officers are then required to appear before effectively an inquiry or a hearing in order to present the council's position. Now, in those circumstances, there is an adversarial aspect to that process. The request being made by motion to officers was to provide information, and that is different from essentially pleading a case. So I would agree that there's no particular conflict of interest, and I don't think that the wording of section 20 or paragraph 20 of this report necessarily implies that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wallace, I'll let you in again, and then Councillor Devlin.
Just very briefly, I don't wish to labour the point, but sorry, of course.
And again, I'm giving you more time. It's for the sake of the public and the people in the gallery, so that there is clarification. So that's why I'm giving you more leeway.
That's perfect, Provost, and I do appreciate it. And it's really on that basis that we are drawing this out, is that the apparent, because this is so public, because it is so sensitive, that this paragraph 20 has brought it out of the potential and the perception, and as we know, perception is everything, and the perception that this is a perhaps biased report by those who actually approved of it. I'm not suggesting for a minute that that is the case, but what I am suggesting is how it may be perceived by the wider public. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wallace. Councillor Devlin.
Just a point, Provost. I mean, we're going round in circles here, and I mean, is it not about time we came to obviously the option within the paper to let everybody make their own choice?
Thank you for your advice, Councillor Devlin. Always welcome. So, are there any other questions? If there are no other questions, can I bring you to the recommendations? That's notes the report prepared by officers, and I have to emphasise in accordance with the original motion. And as I said earlier, the report is according to the parameters of that motion that was put forward. And it makes a decision as to whether to pursue a revocation order under section 65 of the Town and Country Planning Scotland Act 1997 as amended, considering the information contained in the report. Is there anyone minded to put forward a motion to revoke? One indicating in the chamber. So is there anyone minded to put forward a motion not to revoke?
I propose that.
No. Is there a seconder?
I'll second that, Provost.
Councillor. Is there anyone otherwise minded? Councillor. So we'll go. You can.
Shall I just read it?
Oh, sorry. Is this another amendment? Yes. Oh, Okay, so if you would read your amendment and then I will ask for a seconder. If you read the amendment now, please, thanks.
Yeah, we adopt recommendation A as presented and alter recommendation B to council request deferment of the decision pending the outcome of the judicial review into the council's handling and conduct on this matter.
Do you have that written down, Councillor Morrison?
I will in 60 seconds.
Well, could you repeat it, but put the microphone right up to you so that everybody in the gallery can hear it?
Okay.
Because again, this is from left field. So nice and slow so we can hear it.
The amendment in my name is that we adopt A of the report, so we note the report, and amend recommendation B to state that council requests deferment of the decision pending the outcome of the judicial review into the council's conduct and handling of this situation, the ongoing judicial review. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Morrison, could you make that?
Is there a seconder?
Oh yeah, I will do that. And I take it there is a seconder for that, Councillor McLean. So if we could have that printed so that it's available for people to consider and also people in the gallery. And again, we'll take time, we'll have a recess to consider that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. So the Conservative amendment is competent. So it's been duly put forward and seconded as the original motion. So I'm now going to go to Jerry to vote on motion or amendment. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Provost. The vote will again be by show of hands. The vote will be based on motion, which is the Leader of the Council, Councillor O'Donnell's motion, seconded by Councillor Pragnell. The amendment is Councillor Morrison's amendment, seconded by Councillor McLean. So can I ask for a show of hands those in favour of the motion, which is not to revoke? And for the amendment? 6. Okay, and there's no abstentions. So the motion has 12 votes, the amendment 6 votes, so the motion is carried.
Thank you very much. Could I ask you to stop the video now to allow the gallery to clear for those who wish to leave now? Thank you. Okay, so thank you very much. I am now moving to item 7 on the agenda. It's a notice of motion and it's been proposed by Councillor Wallace, seconded by Councillor Morrison. Can you confirm that that is still the case? Okay, thank you very much. Are there any amendments to this motion? No amendments. It seems to be agreed. No one dissenting. So agreed. Thank you very much, everybody. I will now move on to the next item on the agenda. So that's back to the agenda item, and we are at item 3. Report of the Returning Officer, Ward 1, Barrhead, Lubberside and Up the Moor by-election, and that is Mr. Stephen Quinn. Just for noting, it's just for noting. Councillor McHale, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Provost. Sorry, that was louder than I expected as well. First, I wish to pay respect to Councillor Betty Cunningham, OBE. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication. I'm deeply honoured to have been selected as Scottish Labour Councillor for Barrhead, Leableside and Uplemure. Having grown up in Barrhead, attending St Mark's Primary and St Luke's High School, I am truly humbled that the people in our community elected me. I'm raising my own family in Barrhead and I will work with dedication, compassion and respect to support and advocate for all residents who call it home. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor McHale, and welcome and congratulations. Sure, that's echoed throughout the chamber to welcome you here tonight. Thank you. Are there any questions on that report? Can we agree the report? Good, thank you very much. So now on to item 4. So it's back to business as usual then. So minute of previous meeting of the 25th of June. Submitted for as a correct record and signature. Agreed? Thank you very much. We're all agreeable now. That's good. So item 5, the minute volume. So submitted as a correct record of the minutes of meetings for the period 17th of June to the 21st of August. Now, usually I've got a list. I don't see the list here to run down. Is it there? Thank you very much. So it is. Thanks very much. Okay. So again, I'll read out the list, but please stop me if I'm too fast for you. Special Planning Applications Committee of the 17th of June, Cabinet 19th of June, Full Council 25th of June, which has already been dealt with, Appeals Committee 17th of July, Special Licensing Committee 22nd of July, Licensing Committee 5th of August, Planning Applications Committee 6th of August, Cabinet 14th of August, Audit and Scrutiny Committee 14th of August, Education Committee 21st of August. All agreed? Thank you very much. Item 6, items remitted to the Council, Annual Treasury Management Report 2024-25, pages 11 to 26, and I'd like to invite Councillor Morrison, the Chair of the Audit and Scrutiny Committee, to comment. Also, Kirsty Stanners, Head of Finance, is also in attendance, will be able to take any questions. So, Councillor Morrison.
Thank you very much, Provost. This follows the Treasury Management training, which was made available to all colleagues on Monday of this week, which was most helpful. So here's an opportunity to put it to good use. As part of the Council's Treasury Management strategy, the Chief Financial Officer is required to report on the activities of the Treasury Management operations of the Council, and this report is submitted in line with that requirement. This is a very high level report showing the Council's debt position, along with graphs depicting the movement in temporary borrowing and deposits over the past financial year. The report shows that the Council's long-term borrowing position has increased by £51 million during the previous financial year. Bear in mind, we're looking at up to 31st of March when we say financial year. There are two aspects to this movement. Firstly,
sorry, Councillor Morrison, could you put the microphone right up beside you and speak a wee bit louder? Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll see how we got on with that. There was new borrowing of £25 million from the Public Works Loan Board, which represents borrowing required to support the Council's capital programmes. And secondly, there was an increase in financial obligations of £26 million, which relates to the introduction of IFRS 16, which is a new accounting standard for lease and hire type arrangements, which includes the Council's PPP and PFI agreements. It's important to recognise that this change in accounting requirement impacts on all local authorities across the UK, and the Council has not entered into any new PPP nor PFI contracts. There will be no increase in the payments to suppliers as a result of this change. It's simply an accounting adjustment. As a result of these two movements, the average interest on borrowings has increased marginally by 0.1%. In terms of the Council's prudential indicators, which we review on a regular basis, the Council's borrowing remains well within approved limits. The borrowing did not exceed the authorised limits, and the gross borrowing is significantly lower than the capital financing requirement. In terms of the risk indicators, the percentage of variable rate loans should be no more than 15%. The Council operated well below this level at 5.8%. The maximum amount of long-term debt maturing in any 1 year should be no more than 15% of the Council's long-term debt outstanding. The Council's debt maturity profile is at 30th March 2025, shown in Section 3 of the report, and also in Appendix 7, which was within agreed limits. The report recommends that the Council note the Annual Treasury Management Report and approve the external list of organisations investment of surplus funds as per Appendix 8. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Morrison, are there any questions on this report? Councillor O'Donnell.
I wonder if I could ask Kirsty, if she's still here, just to clarify that PPI debt increase. My understanding that is very much an accounting issue. We've done the IFRS restatement for 2025 ahead of other council areas, but we've used the discretion which we're allowed not to restate prior years. And if we were to restate prior years, it would actually show a net decrease in debt. So I wonder if you could clarify for the benefit of members, please.
Yes, thank you for the question, Leader. That's absolutely correct. We've successfully implemented IFRS 16 this year. As you said, some councils haven't been able to achieve that position. We don't have to restate prior year, but if we had done so, you would have seen the debt reducing by 8 million across the year, because obviously we're 1 year further into our PFI and PPP schemes, so we've paid off some of that debt during the year. So it's purely an accounting adjustment, no additional cost to the council.
Thank you very much.
If there are no other questions, then can we agree the report?
Agreed.
Agreed, thank you very much. Item 8, statements by conveners and representatives on joint boards and committees. We have statements from Councillor Anderson and Councillor Pradno. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Provost. It has again been a busy summer for the Trust. The summer school holiday activity camps ran successfully in Eastwood and Barrhead High Schools, and the Trust also supported the holiday programme in Isabel Mayor School. Also, the Summer Reading Challenge took place. Young people were asked to read a minimum of 6 books, and East Renfrewshire continues to perform significantly better than most comparable authorities. Library staff are delighted with the performance of this year's challenge, and I look forward to the award ceremonies which follows when children who complete the full challenge receive their certificates. Also, East Renfrewshire Culture and Leisure have again been nominated by the Scottish Swimming as one of the 3 finalists in the Swimming Lesson Provider of the Year category. The Trust Swimming Development Team have worked extremely hard over the last 18 months and included a new team which has been dedicated to identify and help participants who are not progressing as quickly as partly should. And this has meant that now the programme has actually grown to 3,915 participants, which is 22% higher than this time last year. Also, we had the Eagleton Library was refurbished. In July, the council completed the refurbishment with redecoration and new carpets, new flexible shelving and a new reception desk has increased the usable space within the library, and the difference before and after is remarkable, and almost all library users have commented positively on the refurbishment. And finally, examination success. Education Committee, we had the opportunity to congratulate all of our pupils in S4, S5 and S6 on their fantastic examination results. Their success is a testament to the dedication and perseverance of the pupils and also who have been supported and encouraged by their families and the commitment of the school staff. The success highlighted how we have successfully raised the bar for all, whilst closing the poverty-related attainment gap, and the vision of everyone attaining, everyone achieving through excellent experiences is well on the way to being achieved. I look forward to the detailed breakdown at the next committee. There are just some key results that I think highlight how excellent the results have been. 82% of S4 pupils attained 5 or more passes at National 5 or better, and it's the council's best ever result. Barrhead High and St Luke's High have achieved outstanding best ever S4 results. St Ninians and Wood Farm High Schools improved their S4 National 5 attainment by 6%. Mearns Castle High School achieved 96% for 1 or more hires. Williamwood and Wood Farm High Schools had their best ever S6 advanced hire results. And finally, 62% of Eastwood High pupils achieved 5 or more hires by the end of S6. And so that's excellent news, and that ends my statement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Anderson. Excellent news, right enough. Councillor Cragnell.
Thank you, Provost. At our Integration Joint Board meeting in August, our Chief Officer, Alexis Chappell, shared reflections on her first few weeks in post, with a clear focus on visibility, engagement and collaboration. She has introduced People Stories, which will be a recurring IGB item highlighting the real-life impact of our services. The first story showed how our Care at Home team helped Mr X live well at home and supported his family through a difficult transition, an experience which they described as life-changing. We will continue to develop these stories to learn from the lived experiences of people seeking support to live independently in East Renfrewshire. You may well be aware that September is Suicide Prevention Month, and today marks World Suicide Prevention Day. One of the key updates presented to the board was a Year 1 progress report on our suicide prevention strategy. While East Renfrewshire continues to have the lowest rates of suicide in Scotland, we remain committed to further action and investment. The Health and Social Care Partnership has amplified a national campaign locally asking, what if a conversation about suicide could save a life? You'll see this message across our communities and on social media in the coming weeks. We also received an update from the Alcohol and Drugs Partnership, and it was great to hear that East Renfrewshire received an excellent national assessment across all 10 medication-assisted treatment standards. Work continues to strengthen local delivery. The Revenue Budget Monitoring Report showed that while a balanced budget was agreed in March, underlying pressures of around £2.4 million remain. Work is ongoing to deliver savings and refine income estimates, particularly around non-residential charging. We also had an update on the local Child Poverty Action Report, delayed discharge performance in the Veteran Support Service. Alexis, in her role as Veterans Champion for the Health Board, is keen to expand the model across Greater Glasgow and Clyde. I want to take this opportunity to thank all HSCP staff for their dedication and compassion. The work continues to make a meaningful difference in the lives of people across East Renfrewshire. Thank you, Provost.
Thank you very much, Councillor Pagno. So, on to item 9.
Point of order. Point of order.
Point of order.
Yeah, sorry, it's standing order number 25, oral questions. I've always been quite...
Sorry, please wait till we get to the standing orders. So,
yeah.
Standing orders.
Oral questions.
4, 25, oral questions. Okay, let's see what it says first of all. Right. Okay. Any member who could have cabinet or chairman can the cabinet. Any member who could any business to the cabinet or other committee under right. Okay, no, I'm just scanning it. Donald.
Yeah, so I've always been quite curious about this because we've obviously got convenerships that span a wide variance of different departments within this council, and each and every time we have a council meeting we only have 2 conveners that actually make statements, and by doing that it denies us the opportunity to ask questions of the convenerships that don't give statements. Namely, Councillor Devlin is convener of housing and a few other briefs. There are questions that come up from time to time that I have that I would like to make to the convener of housing, but I can't do so because there's not a facility for me to allow to do it because there's no convener statement on his behalf. And I just want an answer as to why only 2 convenerships every council meeting give statements when there's more than one convenership.
Very much, Councillor Moran. You have made your point. It's up to the conveners themselves if they wish to bring forward a report, and if you want to ask any questions of any convener, you are free to email, you're free to contact them yourself to clarify anything, so it's not anything to do with the standing orders, and I'm moving on. So thank you very much for those statements. Item 9, Provost engagements for noting, agreed? Thank you. Item 10, Annual Statement on Adequacy and Effectiveness of Governance, Risk Management and Internal Control Systems. Report by Audit and Scrutiny Committee, copy attached, pages 29 to 32. Can we agree the report? Okay, thank you very much for that. On to item...
I should actually, there is some text to go with that, Provost.
Okay, I didn't know if you were going to say anything, Councillor, that's why I was looking towards you, but I will allow that now, thank you.
Yeah, no worries at all. It's been a long meeting. Yeah, so it is that time of the year again when we have to examine our internal control systems. The Audit and Scrutiny Committee's terms of reference include a requirement for us to review the Council's control environment and to make an annual statement to Council on its evaluation of internal controls. To assist with that evaluation, the Council's Internal Audit Department is required to provide the Audit Committee with an annual statement on the adequacy and effectiveness of the governance, risk management and internal control systems operating within the Council. The statement for the year ended 31st March 2025 was duly considered by the Audit Committee on 19th of June as an appendix to the Internal Audit Report of 24-25. It concludes that in the opinion of the Chief Auditor, reasonable assurance can be placed upon the adequacy and effectiveness of the Council's framework of governance, risk management and internal control for the same year end. It's therefore recommended that Council note the statement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Morrison. Apologies for not bringing you in. As you say, it has been a long meeting. Are there any questions? Councillor O'Donnell.
Just a very quick comment to thank Michelle Blair for all work she does to help produce this important statement and reassurance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we agree that report? Agreed? Thank you very much. On to item 11. Political management arrangements, changes to cabinet, convener remits, committee membership and appointments to outside bodies, pages 33 to 40. Now, Louise Pringle's available and Chief Executive in attendance who are able to take any questions on this. Page 33. Questions? Can we agree the report? Agreed? Thank you very much. Item 14. Oars Road update and funding request, pages 65 to 70. Katrina Macaulay and other members of the Environment team are in attendance and able to take any questions on this item. Are there any questions? Councillor Lundy, then Councillor Wallace. Anybody else indicating? Okay, Councillor Lundy.
Thank you, Provost. My first point is not really a question. I want to draw attention to page 67, paragraph 14, and then on page 68, paragraph 16, which detail the progress that's already taken place and identify that the Council are confident that it will be finished by spring next year. Just for the public's sake who might not read the full papers. The second part that I've got is a question, and it's relating to the disruption that this has caused in terms of roads being closed and people using the back roads as a diversion. I know that the Council have recommended that people don't do that, but I was wondering if there could be some further comms on that, particularly as we go into winter and these roads become more dangerous. Thank you.
Michaela.
Katrina or Michaela, please.
Thank you, Councillor Lundy. Yes, we can definitely renew the communications. Obviously, the route, the correct diversion route is signposted, and those signs are checked regularly to check that they're in place. But as you've rightly pointed out, we can't stop people using the back roads, and it is some time now since we communicated with people. So as you've said, as we go into the winter, we can put some reminders on our social media. You made reference to paragraph 14. Were you looking for any explanation in relation to the works that have been completed? Would you like a summary?
I think that might be helpful for the people watching, yes.
Thank you. So, briefly, 88% of the promenade wall has now been completed, with only one area remaining to be completed. A number of the bridges which are required have now been dropped into place, and structural works have also been completed on the culvert that is required by Scottish Water. Earthworks are ongoing on the site, preparing for the reinstatement of the final section of the embankment. Those who've followed us closely will be aware that there has been some subsidence on the embankment, and that has required some redesign and works being undertaken. So those earthworks are ongoing. The road and cycleway surfacing is also ongoing, and the walkway paving and curbing is also ongoing. So there's been some significant progress on the site, still with some distance to go. So our estimate of completion is spring of 2026. And as we get closer to that date, we will be able to be more precise about exactly when the road will be completed. But we have final designs, and the road is progressing. So at the moment, we acknowledge the disruption and difficulty that the closure has caused, and we will be seeking to have it reopened as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, Katrina. Finished, Councillor Lundy? Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Wallace?
Thank you, Provost. Just looking at the Oz Road project, and I appreciate quite clearly haven't seen the end of this, and there's a lot of work that has to be done as to how we find ourselves to sign on a contract which has made us quite vulnerable to these additional costs. However, that's for another day. I would like to know, we had a report that came to Cabinet in September of last year, which highlighted that we had 2.4 million that had not been allocated from the city deal, and we had an opportunity to perhaps use that, and it was decided at that time, Cabinet decided that this funding should go to the Crossmill industrial estate, because it's been a very successful project, and it was really to help that maybe be more successful. So my question is, and to the Director of Environment, and it may well be to the Director of Finance as well, what is the scope for us to actually not go ahead with that 2.4 million, because I believe it's not to be allocated until the end of next year, as to whether we could actually use that to part fund this cost, this additional cost that we have here, because quite clearly, yes, we have ways of funding this, but it will ultimately impact on our revenue account, because it still has to be paid for, which means that we've got a budget strategy group meeting which may have to mither over cutbacks on a whole host of different costs that we're going to have to face. So, in short, I shall repeat, what is the scope of us not using that 2.4 million for the Crossmill project and actually reallocating it for us to use against this particular additional cost? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wallace. Chief Executive?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Wallace. It's not lost on me because I've actually been along with others, and we've gone to City Deal and asked if that could indeed be the case, and we can do that. Unfortunately, the rules of the way that the packages are financed don't allow us to do that. So we did ask that question. It's a good question you've asked. It's one that we've gone with ourselves. But at the moment, having looked at that, I think that has been exhausted, and unfortunately we cannot use that funding to support the Oz Road completion. But thank you.
Councillor O'Donnell?
I wonder if Michaela or Katrina can clarify, because I think that extra 2 million was city-wide projects rather than a project specific for our council area. I might be confusing two different developments, but I wonder if you could clarify that, please.
Yes, there's two different projects that are related to the Crossmill industrial units. One is a regional pot of funds that a number of local authorities are working together to increase the supply of industrial units, and Crossmill is our proposal as part of that regional project. In addition to the regional project, we also have a local project, and that is also Crossmill. So it's allowing us to take those two pots of funding to create a greater investment fund and to increase and strengthen the proposal at Crossmill. And just to further sort of clarify the point that Stephen raised on the eligibility of those funds, it's not a decision within the Glasgow City region. It is at Treasury level that we are not allowed to use the funds that are agreed for that project for another reason. So that absolutely was our first call, and because of the non-eligibility, this is the proposal we've now brought forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Devlin.
Thanks, Provost. Just a question in regards to Councillor Lundy's question about the Ors Roads. I mean, as we all know, we had a briefing 2 weeks ago on the Ors Road project, and the officers kindly gave us an update of the actions that were taking place. So I'm surprised Councillor Lundy's bringing it up tonight at this council meeting. Were you at the briefing meeting?
Yes, I was. I can answer that if you would like.
Sorry, would you mind speaking through the chair, everybody?
Sorry, my apology. I mean, I'm surprised that, you know, that wasn't enough information. Councillor Lundy had.
It's really up to Councillor Lundy as any councillor if they want to ask a question at the meeting.
He was answered the question a week and a half ago.
Thank you. I spoke to the directors beforehand. The reason that I wanted to do that, particularly on the progress update, was for transparency, so that the public were aware of the progress that's taken place, and I wanted to dispel some of the rumours about what stage the project was at in terms of whether it would be completed on time.
Thank you very much, colleagues. So, Ors Road update, and this, unless there are any other questions on this, can we agree the report? Oh, sorry, Councillor O'Donnell.
Sorry to prolong the agony. First of all, I'd just like to say thanks, officers, for the project update and the confidence of opening in spring 26. That's been very reassuring. Also, I think very helpful to see all the funders of this project as outlined in paragraph 9. I think when we talk about letting the public know who's paying for this, I think this is very helpful. So the Scottish and UK governments, £5.5 million each, Sustrans 8.3 million, and if I remind Council, we were concerned that we might lose 3 million of that Sustrans financing. So again, thanks to the officers for pursuing that and making sure that that came through. And then there's a number of other funders in there as well. So what that shows in terms of the value of partnership working, and the City deal is helping to fund important infrastructure projects which we would not be able to do on our own by any means, or even get off the ground. And as Vice Chair of Glasgow City Region Cabinet, I continue to pursue a new City deal for the region. And as part of these negotiations, no doubt we will be asked by governments about successes of the City region projects and lessons learned, and that's completely appropriate. That's why in paragraph 27, it's very important that we do evaluate the costs and benefits of all the City deal projects and are clear on the lessons learned, so we can bid in confidence for new funding. So thank you very much for letting me make that comment.
Thank you very much, Councillor Morrison.
Thank you, Provost. In terms of the Ors Road project, are there any design variations which could be put in place at this moment in time to try and bring the project to completion nearer its original budget? For example, perhaps scaling back the active travel element of the project, or not installing street lighting. There wasn't lighting on the road previously. Are there any options which have been explored by officers to try and reduce the overall cost of the project? Thank you.
Thank you. Michaela?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Morrison. I think no, not at this stage. The project's been considered quite carefully, as you would imagine. And for example, the active travel is funded directly by Sustrans. That's the Sustrans contribution identified there. So we would not be in a position to scale that back, or we would lose that Sustrans funding. The ducts are already in for the street lighting, and so are most of the columns. So we are at a point where it would be difficult to, if you like, value engineer any of the project. What we have done is gone to the developer contributions and we've been able to secure some additional developer contributions to pay for some of the things that are nice to have, like the benches and so on, to ensure that we minimise the overall cost of this. We also managed to get an additional £0.6 million from Sustrans as well. So we've kind of done our best to get together any pots that we have, and we're not really in a position to change the design at this stage. We have competent designs, they're with the contractor, and we're expecting them to complete those as planned. But thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. If there are no other questions, can we agree the recommendations on page 65? Agreed? Thank you very much. Now on to item 15, calendar of council and committee meetings to May 2027, pages 71 to 76. And Louise Pringle is here to answer any questions. Are there any questions, colleagues? Oh yes, there's a few. Councillor McLean, anybody else? Councillor Wallace, was that your hand going up? Yes, Councillor McLean first then.
Thank you, Provost. Just a quick one. I notice on the planning applications meetings for 2026 they are now monthly as opposed to previous ones, and I noticed sometimes this year there have been a number of occasions the planning applications committee has been cancelled due to a lack of business. I'm just wondering the reasoning behind that they're now going to every month. Thank you.
Just give Jerry a chance to get to that page, please. Sorry? Oh, it's Michaela. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We had a number of a smaller number of applications in the period post COVID and the pandemic. So Planning Applications Committee used to be monthly, and it was moved to bi-monthly after the number of applications dropped. However, the number of applications has reverted to normal, and we do have statutory timescales that we have to meet. So there have been a couple of occasions recently where we've had to ask for special planning committees to be arranged, and the terminology special is just because it's not on the approved list. And we think that rather than having that position where we're having to arrange special meetings in order to meet statutory timescales, it would be better to have the meeting scheduled once a month. Of course, if there's no business, we will be in a position to cancel the meetings, but we're much more likely to hit our statutory timescales, which are monitored by the Scottish Government.
Thank you, Councillor Wallace.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. It was just to commend officers for actually putting this together, because I seem to recall last year we were getting this in a kind of September, October time, and that's for the beginning of January of the following year. So we've actually got a calendar that takes us up to the end of the administration, which is excellent and can't come soon enough. Thank you.
Well, it's nice to have praise and positive comments. Thank you very much.
Is that the end of the administration that can't come soon enough?
So, can we agree the recommendations on page 71, colleagues? Agreed? Thank you very much. On to item 16. Ministry of Defence Employer Recognition Scheme, pages 77 to 80. And I'd like to invite Deputy Provost Campbell as a Veterans Champion to speak to this. Thank you.
Sorry, Provost, I wasn't pre-prepared there. Thank you. I'm delighted to take a moment to highlight a significant achievement in East Renfrewshire Council, one that reflects our deep and ongoing commitment to supporting the armed forces community. As members will be aware, the Council has been working towards the Ministry of Defence's Employer Recognition Scheme Gold Award. I'm pleased to report that we have now successfully achieved this prestigious accolade, the highest level of recognition available to organisations that go above and beyond in their support for serving personnel, reservists, veterans and their families. This achievement builds on the work we've been doing since 2024, and it's a testament to the dedication of teams across the Council, the Health and Social Care Partnership and East Renfrewshire Culture and Leisure Trust. Together, they've demonstrated a strong and consistent commitment to the Armed Forces Covenant and the principles it upholds. The Armed Forces Oversight Group, made up of representatives from housing, education, employability, HR, the Health and Social Care Partnership, and East Renfrewshire Culture and Leisure Trust, has played a key role in driving this work forward, meeting quarterly to monitor progress and ensure we meet the standards required for gold accreditation. As Armed Forces champion, I continue to represent the interests of the Armed Forces community and will keep elected members and our local MPs and MSPs informed of any emerging issues. Beyond the award itself, our support continues in practical and meaningful ways. Programmes like Health for Heroes offer free fitness memberships to veterans, helping improve mental health through physical activity. The Veterans Breakfast Club, held quarterly at Barhead Foundry and supported by the British Royal Legion, remains a valued space for connection and support. We also work closely with NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde to improve health outcomes for veterans, and we continue to provide tailored support to service personnel and their families as they transition to civilian life. This achievement has been formally recognised by the Lord Lieutenant Colonel Peter McCarthy, who has written to our Chief Executive to offer his congratulations, a gesture that reflects the significance of this award and the respect it commands. In closing, I'd like to thank everyone involved in this success. It's a proud moment for East Renfrewshire and a clear demonstration of our values in action. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Campbell, and a very positive note to finish on. So, can we agree the recommend? Sorry? Okay, Councillor O'Donnell.
I thank Deputy Provost for this report. It really is a great example of partnership working across the council and all the council services to really develop and enhance our prevention agenda, because we're doing this for a reason. Some of these people are incredibly vulnerable and need multiple services, and our partners and our departments across the council are really stepping up to the mark to deliver on that. So well done to everyone involved in this. They should all be very proud. Thank you.
I'm sure we'll echo those sentiments across the chamber. So that ends. So can we agree the recommendations on page 77, colleagues? Agreed? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your attendance. I'll just close the meeting now. Thank you.